Only 7 people inside that gym knew who Bruce Lee was. The Russian strongman on the mat didn't. The promoter who organized the exhibition didn't. The referee didn't. 200 spectators packed into the Vladivostok Athletic Club didn't recognize the quiet Chinese man standing near the back wall. That was about to change. In the next 4 seconds, the strongest man in the Soviet Far East would learn the most painful lesson of his life. And everyone in that building would witness something they'd carry to their graves. This is what really happened on October 14, 1971. This is the story they tried to bury. Vladivostok, Soviet Union. Vladivostok Athletic Club. October 14, 1971. Thursday evening, 7:30 p.m. The International Strength and Combat Exhibition is in its final night. This is the biggest showcase of Soviet athletic power in the Far East. Competitors from 8 republics, 14 different disciplines: sambo, Greco-Roman wrestling, Olympic weightlifting, boxing. Every major combat and strength sport in the Soviet system is represented. 200 spectators fill the converted gymnasium. Military officers, coaches, athletes, diplomats, and a small group of foreign visitors attending as cultural guests of the Soviet Sports Ministry. The ceiling is low. The air is thick with chalk dust, sweat, and cigarette smoke from the officers in the back rows. Wooden bleachers creak under the weight of the crowd. 2 large Soviet flags hang from the rafters. The lighting is harsh. Industrial fluorescent tubes cast everything in a flat, pale glow. No shadows. No drama. Just cold, functional Soviet architecture designed for performance, not spectacle. The smell is iron and effort. Heavy bags line the far wall. Weightlifting platforms sit in the corner, still loaded from the afternoon's competition. The mat in the center is regulation sambo size, 40 feet by 40 feet, stained from years of competition. Tonight's main event is about to begin. A special exhibition match followed by an open challenge, and the man at the center of it all is already on the mat, warming up. Viktor Nikolai Volkov. They call him the Bear of Vladivostok. Viktor is 34 years old, 6 feet 4 inches tall, 265 pounds of Soviet-built muscle. Not gym muscle, not bodybuilding muscle. Functional, brutal, farm and factory muscle built from a lifetime of manual labor and disciplined training. He grew up on a collective farm outside Khabarovsk, carried grain sacks since age 9, split firewood every morning before school. By 14, he could lift a full-grown calf over his head. His father, a former Red Army soldier, enrolled him in the local sambo school at age 7. Sambo, the Soviet combat system, developed by the Red Army in the 1920s. A blend of judo, wrestling, and striking designed specifically for military hand-to-hand combat. It is not a sport for the gentle. It is a weapon system disguised as athletics. Viktor trained in sambo for 27 years. 27 years of throws, locks, chokes, and ground fighting. He earned his Master of Sport title at age 19, the youngest in the Khabarovsk region. By 22, he held the Far East Regional Championship. By 25, he was competing at the national level. His record is staggering: 83 competitive victories, 14 losses, all in his first 3 years. For the last 9 years, he has been undefeated. 62 consecutive wins, no losses, no draws. His specialty is the throw. Sambo throws are devastating. They don't just take you off your feet. They drive you into the ground with the full force of the thrower's weight and momentum. Viktor's signature technique is the podnojka, a reaping foot sweep combined with an upper body throw that sends opponents airborne. He has knocked 3 men unconscious with that single throw. Not from strikes, from impact with the mat. That's how hard Viktor Volkov throws human beings. His hands tell the story of his life. Thick knuckles, swollen from decades of gripping canvas jackets and human limbs. Calluses layered on calluses. His right index finger is permanently bent at a slight angle from a break in 1963 that never healed properly. He didn't stop training. Didn't see a doctor for 2 weeks. competed and won a regional title with that broken finger wrapped in athletic tape. That is the kind of man Viktor Volkov is. Pain is information to him, nothing more. His training regimen is legendary in the Far East Circuit. 4 hours every morning, 2 hours every evening. Running 10 kilometers before dawn in the Vladivostok hills, even in winter, even when the temperature drops to -30. His coaches say he has never missed a single training session in 11 years. Not for illness, not for injury, not for holidays. His discipline is Soviet. His body is a machine, and machines do not stop. But Viktor is more than statistics. He is a symbol. In the Soviet system, athletes represent the state. Viktor represents Soviet strength, Soviet discipline, Soviet superiority. He has been featured in Sovietsky Sport, the national athletics newspaper. He has been photographed with military generals. He has demonstrated sambo techniques for visiting Communist Party officials. He is not just a fighter. He is a propaganda tool, and he knows it. He carries himself with the rigid confidence of a man who has never been publicly humbled. His jaw is square. His hands are enormous. When he shakes your hand, your fingers disappear inside his grip. His neck is wider than most men's thighs. When he stands on the mat in his sambo kurtka, the thick canvas jacket worn in competition, he looks like something carved from Siberian granite. Immovable, unbreakable, inevitable. Tonight, Viktor is the star attraction, the exhibition's finale. The promoter has arranged for him to face 2 opponents in demonstration matches, then offer an open challenge to anyone in the building. The open challenge is supposed to be symbolic. No one challenges Viktor Volkov. It's an invitation no one accepts. That's the point. It demonstrates Soviet dominance. It sends the foreign guests home with stories of Russian invincibility. But Viktor has a problem, a personality flaw that his coaches have warned him about for years. Arrogance, not quiet confidence, not earned pride, loud, aggressive public arrogance that borders on cruelty. Viktor doesn't just defeat opponents, he humiliates them. He holds submissions longer than necessary. He laughs during matches. He makes comments to the crowd while his opponent is still on the mat. His coaches tolerate it because he wins. The party officials tolerate it because it makes for good propaganda. The crowds love it because strength without showmanship is just labor. Viktor finishes his warm-up demonstration. 2 opponents, 2 throws. 2 men carried off the mat. The crowd applauds. Viktor takes the microphone from the promoter. He was supposed to make a short, patriotic statement. Instead, he improvises. "Comrades, honored guests," he begins. His voice is deep, rumbling, amplified through the old speaker system. "You have seen tonight what Soviet training produces, what discipline creates, what real strength looks like." The crowd cheers. The military officers nod approvingly. Viktor continues. "I have heard that we have foreign visitors tonight, cultural guests." He scans the crowd, finds the small group of foreign visitors seated in the 3rd row. Among them, a compact Chinese man in dark clothing. Bruce Lee in Vladivostok as part of a private martial arts consultation trip arranged through a Hong Kong film contact with Soviet connections. Viktor points toward the foreign section. "I understand some of you practice martial arts. Chinese martial arts." He says the words with undisguised contempt. "Kung Fu. I have seen films. Little men doing gymnastics, jumping, spinning, breaking boards." The crowd laughs. Some of the foreign visitors shift uncomfortably. The Soviet translator assigned to the cultural delegation hesitates, then translates Viktor's words. The foreign guests understand. One of them, a British martial artist named David Caldwell who arranged Bruce's visit, leans over and whispers, "He's talking about you." Bruce says nothing, watches, listens. Viktor is not finished. "Let me tell you what happens when these kung fu acrobats meet real fighters, real grapplers, real Soviet athletes. They break." He flexes his enormous hands, like twigs. The crowd roars. Viktor is performing now, playing to the officers, the cameras, the propaganda machine. He is making his country proud by making others seem small. I offer my open challenge tonight not just to anyone in this building but specifically to any of our foreign guests who practice these Eastern martial arts. Come, show us your kung fu. Show us what movies look like against reality. He grins. His teeth are white against his tanned face. The scar above his left eye from a training accident in 1965 creases as he smiles. No one moves. The foreign visitors look at each other. Most are diplomats, translators, cultural liaisons. They are not fighters. The silence stretches. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. Viktor spreads his arms wide. You see? This is always what happens. Kung Fu is for cinema, for children, for men who cannot fight. I accept your challenge. The voice comes from the third row. Calm, measured, not loud, but it cuts through the gymnasium like a blade through silk. Every head turns. Viktor squints past the lights. Who said that? I did. Bruce Lee stands. He is wearing dark trousers and a fitted black shirt. No uniform, no belt, no rank. He looks like a businessman who wandered into the wrong building. He is 5 feet 7 inches tall, 138 pounds. Next to any man in this room, he looks small. Next to Viktor Volkov, he looks like a child standing beside a monument. David Caldwell grabs Bruce's arm. Bruce, don't. This isn't a tournament. There's no referee protocol. No rules. This is Soviet territory. Bruce gently removes David's hand. He challenged Kung Fu. He challenged me. I'm answering. The 7 people in that gymnasium who know who Bruce Lee is react instantly. Dan Lee, a Chinese-American martial artist visiting with the delegation, stands halfway up from his seat. His face is a mixture of excitement and terror. 2 Japanese judo practitioners in the foreign section exchange wide-eyed glances. They have seen Bruce demonstrate in Tokyo. They know what is coming. A Soviet sports journalist in the back row who spent time in Hong Kong and watched Bruce's television appearances starts writing furiously in his notebook. The promoter speaks rapidly into his microphone, confused. The translator struggles. Viktor looks amused. You? He looks Bruce up and down. The size difference is almost comical. Viktor is 9 inches taller, 127 pounds heavier. His forearm is thicker than Bruce's thigh. You want to come up here? Bruce makes his way from the third row to the mat. People pull their knees aside. Those who recognize him whisper urgently to their neighbors. That's Bruce Lee, the martial artist, the actor from Hong Kong, the man who can do things that shouldn't be possible. Bruce steps onto the mat. The industrial lighting strips away all illusion. Under these lights, the contrast is brutal. Viktor Volkov, 265 pounds of Soviet granite. Bruce Lee, 138 pounds in street clothes. David and Goliath. Except Goliath is trained, experienced, undefeated, and surrounded by 200 of his countrymen. And David doesn't even have a stone. Viktor looks down at Bruce. Literally down. A 9-inch height difference. You're sure, little man? His tone is patronizing. Almost gentle, the way you'd speak to a child who doesn't understand danger. I'm sure. Bruce's voice carries no aggression, no bravado, no tension. Just certainty. Like a man confirming his dinner reservation. The promoter consults with 2 military officers in the front row. They nod. An exhibition. Controlled. No strikes to the face. The officers want a show, not an international incident. Viktor waves dismissively. Fine. Rules. Whatever you want. It won't matter. He turns to the crowd and flexes, drawing laughter and cheers. Bruce stands still, centered, watching. They face each other. Center mat. Viktor drops into his sambo stance. Low, wide, arms forward, hands open, ready to grip. Classic sambo posture designed for closing distance, clinching and throwing. His weight shifts forward onto his lead leg. His back is slightly rounded, protecting his center of gravity. His massive hands open and close, ready to seize fabric, flesh, anything within reach. Bruce stands naturally, feet shoulder-width apart, weight evenly distributed, hands up but relaxed, almost casual. His fingers are slightly open. To the 200 spectators trained in Soviet combat sports, Bruce's stance looks like nothing. No guard, no base, no system. He looks like a man waiting for a bus. Viktor thinks he knows exactly what happens next. He'll close distance in one step, grab the shirt or the arm. Once he has a grip, it's finished. He outweighs Bruce by 127 pounds. One grip, one throw, and the little Chinese acrobat meets the mat at full speed. Demonstration over. Soviet superiority confirmed. Foreign guests go home with a story. Everyone is happy. The promoter signals. Begin. Viktor moves first. Fast for a man his size. Terrifyingly fast. He lunges forward, lead hand shooting out to grab Bruce's collar. A sambo fighter's first move is always the grip. Control the fabric, control the man. Control the man, execute the throw. Viktor's hand closes on empty air. Bruce has shifted. Not jumped, not dodged. Shifted. 4 inches to the left. His feet barely moved. Viktor's fingers close on nothing. Viktor resets, reaches again. Both hands this time, wider grab, covering more space. A bear hug attempt. Engulf the smaller man, crush him against the chest, lift him, throw him. Bruce flows backward, not retreating. Flowing, like mercury sliding off a tilted surface. Viktor's arms close on nothing. Again. The audience is confused. Viktor is fast. His technique is correct, but he's grabbing air. Bruce isn't blocking, isn't fighting, just isn't there when Viktor's hands arrive. Viktor changes approach, steps in with a ko'o uchigari, a minor inner reap, a judo technique adopted into sambo. Foot hooks behind Bruce's lead ankle while hands drive forward. It's a technique that has put dozens of men on their backs. Bruce's lead foot lifts the moment Viktor's foot arrives, like he knew it was coming before Viktor decided to throw it. He pivots on his rear foot, 90 degrees, and Viktor's reap sweeps through dead space. Viktor stumbles slightly, off balance for just a fraction of a second, and in that fraction Bruce's right hand fires. A straight blast. Wing Chun's centerline punch. Direct. Economical. No chamber, no wind-up, no telegraph. It covers the 14 inches between Bruce's hand and Viktor's solar plexus in a time frame that no one in the audience can process. But it stops. 1 inch from Viktor's body. Bruce pulls it. The contact is a tap, a touch, a message written in air that says, "That was your ribs." Viktor looks down at where Bruce's fist rests against his kurtka. His face changes. The amusement is gone. The patronizing smile vanishes. Something cold and analytical replaces it. The trained fighter in Viktor recognizes what just happened. He was off balance for a quarter of a second, and in that quarter second, Bruce delivered a strike he never saw coming. Viktor backs up, resets. His stance is lower now, more serious. He's not performing anymore. He's fighting. He shoots in, a double leg takedown attempt, modified sambo style. Drop level, drive forward, wrap both legs, lift and slam. It's the nuclear option for a grappler. Bruce sprawls. His hips drop, his weight drives down onto Viktor's shoulders, and his legs shoot back. Textbook sprawl defense. But then something happens that isn't textbook. As Viktor is driven down by the sprawl, Bruce's hand finds the back of Viktor's neck. Paksao, a slapping control. Light. Precise. Bruce redirects Viktor's head downward, adding to his own momentum. Viktor's face nearly touches the mat. Bruce releases instantly, steps back, creates space, gives Viktor room to stand. The gesture is unmistakable. I could have held you there. I chose not to. The gymnasium is silent. 200 people who came to watch Soviet strength celebrate itself are watching something they cannot explain. The largest man on the mat is being handled by the smallest. Viktor stands. His face is red, not from exertion, from something he hasn't felt in 9 years. Embarrassment. He charges. Full commitment. No technique. Pure aggression driven by wounded pride. He swings a massive right hand, breaking the no-face strikes rule. He doesn't care. He needs to land something, anything, on this impossible little man who is making him look ordinary. Bruce sees the punch before it starts. He reads the weight transfer, the shoulder rotation, the tightening of Viktor's right fist, the shifting of his eyes, all the signals that a trained fighter broadcasts before a committed strike. Bruce slips left, 3 inches. The fist passes his right ear. He can feel the wind from it. 265 pounds of force moving through empty space. And in the gap that Viktor's wild swing creates, the opening along his entire left side, Bruce moves. He steps inside Viktor's reach, inside the arm, inside the danger zone where Viktor's size means nothing because there's no room to use it. Bruce's left hand controls Viktor's extended right arm at the wrist. Chi-Sao sensitivity. He feels the tension, the direction, the intention through the contact. His right hand rises, open palm. It travels 8 inches and stops, dead center of Viktor's exposed throat. Not a strike, a placement, a demonstration of where a strike would have landed. The fingers are relaxed, the palm barely touches skin, but the message is absolute. 1 more inch and this is over. Not the match. Everything. Viktor freezes. He looks down at the hand on his throat, feels the fingertips resting against his windpipe. He is 127 pounds heavier than this man. He is 9 inches taller. He has 62 consecutive victories, 27 years of training, the full backing of the Soviet athletic system. And a 138-pound man in street clothes has his hand on his throat. Bruce holds the position for 3 seconds, long enough for every person in the gymnasium to see, long enough for the military officers to stop whispering, long enough for the journalist in the back to stop writing and just stare, long enough for Viktor Volkov, the Bear of Vladivostok, to understand. Then Bruce lowers his hand, steps back, gives a slight nod, not a bow, not a celebration, an acknowledgement. This is finished. The silence lasts 4 seconds. Then the gymnasium erupts, not the organized cheering of Soviet propaganda. Something raw, something that crosses language and politics. 200 people who just watch the impossible happen express the only thing they can. Astonishment. The promoter is stammering into the microphone. The military officers are leaning forward, speaking rapidly to each other. The journalist is writing again, his hand shaking. The foreign delegation is on its feet. Dan Lee is clapping so hard his palms are red. David Caldwell sits back down slowly, exhales for what feels like the first time in 5 minutes. His hands are trembling. He just watched his friend walk onto a Soviet mat with no rules, no protection, and no guarantee of safety, and dismantle a man who could have broken him in half. The 2 Japanese judo practitioners are speaking rapidly to each other. One of them keeps repeating the same word. Impossible. 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 Viktor stands on the mat, breathing hard. His kurtka is disheveled. His pride is in pieces on the floor next to it. But he is a fighter, and real fighters recognize truth when it's demonstrated. He extends his hand. Bruce takes it. Viktor's massive hand engulfs Bruce's completely. Bruce feels the grip strength, the calluses, the power. Viktor feels something else, a stillness in Bruce's hand that suggests reserves of power that were never deployed. "I have fought 83 men," Viktor says through the translator. "No one has done what you just did. Not speed, not technique, something else." "What is it?" Bruce speaks quietly. The translator leans in. "You are very strong, very fast for your size. Excellent base. Your sambo is real. It works. Viktor waits. He can sense the lesson coming. But you fight what you've been taught, Bruce says. You follow the system. The techniques, the strategies, the patterns. You react to what you expect, not to what is. Viktor nods slowly. How do I learn what you did? You already started, Bruce says. You felt it on the mat. The moment your hand closed on air. The moment your throw hit nothing. That confusion you felt. That's the beginning. I don't understand. Water doesn't fight the rock, Bruce says. It flows around it. You are a rock. Very powerful. Very solid. But water always finds the way. Viktor stares at him. In Soviet athletics, there is no philosophy. There is only system, discipline, repetition, and results. This is something foreign, something new, something that just beat him in front of 200 of his countrymen. For the next 20 minutes, something unprecedented happens. Bruce Lee gives a demonstration inside a Soviet gymnasium. He explains centerline theory. He shows the economy of motion. He demonstrates how Wing Chun's Chi Sao, sticking hands, sensitivity training, develops reflexes that anticipate rather than react. He uses Viktor as a partner, shows how the bigger man's strength becomes a liability when redirected, how committed attacks create openings, how rigidity loses to adaptability. The audience watches in silence. These are Soviet athletes trained to believe their system is the best in the world. They are watching a man half the size of their champion make their system look incomplete. Some resist, some are angry, but most are fascinated. Because they are athletes, and athletes recognize excellence regardless of politics. Bruce addresses the room through the translator. I do not say this to disrespect sambo. Sambo is an excellent system. Excellent for combat, for discipline, for developing toughness and strength. Your athletes are among the best in the world. But every system has limitations. Limitations of style, limitations of tradition. The fighter who transcends style, who takes what is useful and discards what is not, that fighter has no limitations. Because he has no style to be predicted, no pattern to be exploited. He is free. The military officers exchange glances. This sounds dangerously philosophical for a Soviet gymnasium. But no one interrupts. Viktor walks Bruce to the exit afterward. The night air in Vladivostok is cold. October on the Pacific coast of Russia. Their breath forms clouds between them. Mr. Lee, Viktor says through David Caldwell, who translates. Today I learned I was a big fish in a small pond, and the ocean is much bigger than I thought. Bruce nods. The pond made you strong. The ocean will make you wise. They shake hands one more time. Viktor's grip is gentler this time, not weaker, more aware. Viktor Volkov continued competing for 3 more years. He retired in 1974 with a final record of 91 victories and 14 losses. That unofficial loss to Bruce Lee never appeared in any record book. The Soviet sports ministry made sure of that. But Viktor's coaching changed. His arrogance softened. He began teaching his students about adaptability, about reading opponents rather than overpowering them. He never mentioned Bruce Lee's name publicly. It wasn't safe to praise a foreign fighter in the Soviet Union, but his closest students knew the story. One of them, Sergei Malkov, who later became a sambo world champion in 1983, said his coach always told him the same thing before big matches. Don't be a rock, Sergei. Be water. The 7 people in that gymnasium who knew who Bruce Lee was told others. The story spread quietly, as stories do in closed societies. It crossed borders through martial arts networks, whispered in dojos and quoons from Tokyo to San Francisco. Most dismissed it. A propaganda story. An exaggeration. Bruce Lee in Russia? Impossible. But the journalist in the back row kept his notes. And David Caldwell wrote about the trip in a private letter to a martial arts magazine in London that was never published. The details matched. The date matched. Vladivostok, October 14, 1971. 200 witnesses. 7 who knew. one who was humbled, and one who taught. The night the Bear of Vladivostok met the dragon. 4 seconds of contact. A lifetime of understanding. The night that proved what Bruce Lee always said. The usefulness of a cup is in its emptiness. No style, no limitation, just water, finding the way.